a lot of content. Don't feel like you need to absorb absolutely everything. But with that said, let's get started. So I just want to go over the agenda for today. Danny and I will introduce ourselves and give the opportunity for folks to introduce themselves in the chat. Again, we have people from both the Pittsburgh and Minneapolis sites on today. I'm going to review the purpose of the service tool, the relationship between the enrollment tool and the service tool, and Danny's going to give a kind of overview of the service tool and the dashboard, and then we're going to go into a live demonstration, which will take up most of our time today. So I'll talk about adding owners and units to the tool, scheduling, beginning contacts with families, and conducting activities within contacts, kind of just, yeah, the meat of the service tool. We'll take a lunch break for an hour, and then come back, finish the live demonstration, and go over some points about the tool data security and available resources and next steps. So throughout the training today, feel free to put any questions you have in the chat or use the raise hand function. My colleague Danny and Zoe are on the line and can help answer questions in the chat, and I'll try to get to them as well. So with that, my name is Will Yetvin. I have been at Apt Associates for 4 years. I've been working closely with Danny, HUD, First Pick, and others on the development of both the enrollment and service tools. So excited that we get to share the tools with you all today. And Danny, you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Will. Yep, my name is Danny Gubitz. I'm at Apt Associates. I'm really excited to be showing you all and training you all on the service tool. This is the first training that we've had for the service providers from the site, so we're very excited for today. I'm an economist. I've been at Apt for almost 17 years. And I've been thinking a lot about the data the study is going to be collecting and how we're going to be analyzing the data. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Danny. So we want to hear a little bit from you. So there's too many people to go around one by one, but if you could just type into the chat your name, the site you're with, and your role on the site. I know not everyone on the call today is actually going to be a mobility service provider, so just your role. Favorite summer activity, just get some ideas flowing, and one thing you want to learn today about using the service tool. And I'll look at the chat and see if there's anything I need to cover that I'm not already planning on covering. So while you do that, so again, your name, site you're with, favorite summer activity, and one thing you want to learn today. Please post that in the chat. And I will provide kind of a roadmap of just the service tool training plan. So today is the live demonstration you're in, and but this won't be the last opportunity to learn and practice about the service tool. So after today's demonstration, we'll send out kind of a practice training checklist that you can use while using the tool. You'll have access to the service tool user guide and quick reference guides, which I'll talk about later. And then the week of August 8th, there'll be site-specific follow-up training and Q&A session that Danny will host. So there'll be one training for Pittsburgh and one training for Minneapolis, a little smaller group, more hands-on. Then, you know, the CCD program will launch, and just ongoing after launch, there'll be tool office hours twice a week and help desk support, which I'll talk more about. Taking a look at the chat, I'm seeing A lot of water activities, walking around the lake, swimming, love that, biking. Great. Thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Learning objectives for today.
And
We're gonna,
Will,
yep,
I just want to make sure that that I'm really clear on who's who's planning to be the main users of the tool. So let me just correct me if I'm wrong. So I think from Minneapolis and Metro HRA, is going to be Renee and Brenda and Caitlin and Sonia? Is that the slated to be the main users from Metro HRA?
Correct. Yeah, I put my
Great.
thumb up, but
Great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Renee, Brenda, Caitlin, Sonia, and then from Pittsburgh, from YWCA of Greater Pittsburgh, Shannon and Sharita and Gabby are going to be the main users of the tool.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. Okay.
great.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Lovely. So yeah, again, we'll provide an overview of the structure and all the features of the service tool, describe the relationship between the service tool and the CMRS guide, show some examples of what data to enter into the tool and where to enter it. I'm going to be trying to make this as interactive as possible, so I'm going to be kind of calling on participants, or just not calling on individuals, but just asking for some examples of what kind of conversations and information may come up, to try to make it a little bit more interactive. And again, we'll review data security considerations and additional training resources. So just wanted to talk a little bit about the development of the tool. It was developed over the course of 18 months based on input from HUD, First Pick, the implementation TA provider, and the Creating Moves to Opportunity project. So the family and owner activities were based on the CMRS guide. There's some differences between the CMRS guide and the tool, which Danny will talk more about. Additional changes were made based on early pilot testing of the tool. And I want to mention that the tool is launching now. It's fully functional, but there are still improvements that will be made during and after the pilot period. And we want to emphasize that continuous feedback from you all, from mobility services staff, is critical to ensuring that future releases of the tool meet staff needs and just continues to improve. So there are three primary purposes of the service tool. One, it's a case management tool. So it's supporting the provision of services to families through all the phases of CMRS. So that involves scheduling check-ins with families and contacts with property owners and managers, entering and managing information about the family search process, entering information on new units and tracking the availability of units. All that stuff we'll go into today. It's also a caseload management tool. So the tool allows users to assign families to different mobility services staff in order to manage caseloads and responsibilities for contacting families. And for the study team, it's an important data collection tool for the CCD evaluation. So it supplies our team with data to help understand how and to what extent mobility services were provided to families with vouchers, and it will be considered in assessing which mobility services are most important for helping families access opportunity areas. So what do you need to use the service tool? It is an online tool, so you'll need consistent internet connection, whether that be from your office or a Wi-Fi. Any internet connection will work. It's a secure site. You can access the tool using a work desktop computer, laptop, or even tablet. It's probably easier to interact with a larger screen, and we recommend that you use Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge as your internet browser, because that's just the most compatible browsers with the programming of the service tool. And you'll need a cell phone for two-factor authentication by SMS text or authenticator app. This can be just a personal device, or if necessary, you can also use an email address to receive that two-factor authentication code. Also important while using the service tool is the CMRS guide, the client binder, and all the CMRS supporting materials. So the CMRS guide really is the authoritative, source and offers guidance on what services should be delivered and how they will be delivered. The service tool is intended to facilitate the delivery of the services, record information needed to serve families, and allow the study team to understand what services are delivered. But the CMRS guide is really, the basis on how those services will be delivered. Okay, so the relationship between both of the tools. So the enrollment tool shares some information with the service tool. This includes the head of household's email, cell phone, and address at enrollment, just important contact information, as well as the names and ages of the children and other adult members of the household who consent into the study. So new households start with the phase number 1, study enrollment, when they are assigned to the CMRS group from the enrollment tool. And this phase 1 indicates that they have not had a pre-move appointment scheduled yet. And we'll show that once that pre-move appointment is scheduled, they'll move phases automatically to phase 2. Before moving on, is there any questions about anything I've covered up to this point? Okay. All right, so now I want to turn it over to Danny to give a little bit more of an overview of the service tool.
Okay. There's a lot of parts to the service tool. So before we kind of dive in and show you the tool, I kind of want to give you kind of conceptually what are the parts, what's in there, what's in this service tool. So if you start by looking in the middle where it says dashboard. That's a good starting point, the dashboard. And on the dashboard, there are lists of the families who are being served in the program, and there's another table for owners who are being, who are part of the program and taking part and being provided services as part of the program. And then another table for units. So those are the main 3, the families, the owners, and the units. There's also a table for owner outreach. Will show that to you. That's a little bit of a different thing. But the main thing are the families, owners, and units. So from the dashboard, you can see all the families and all the owners and all the units. And you can click on each of them. You can click on a family or click on an owner or click on a unit to get more information. And so now if you look to the top of this diagram where you got families and owners and units, this is where there's information. There's information about the families and the owners and the units. And there are 2 types of information for each of them. There's something called a report and something called an information form. And those things, they kind of sound similar. So I want to distinguish, like, what's the difference? What's the difference between a report and an information form? The information form, so the household information form, the owner information form, the unit information form, you can think of as background information. That's where all your background information is going to be. So for the household information form, that's going to be your contact information about the family, who are the different members of the family, what are some of their likes and dislikes, and some other background type information. For the owners, the owner information form is going to be, again, their contact information and just some of the background information, how many units they own, or if they're a leasing agent or are serving as leasing agent for. And then the unit information form is details about that unit, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, other details, amenities in the unit. So that's the information forms. And then what are the reports? The household report, the owner report, and the unit report. Those are kind of the history of the engagement with the mobility program. So the household report is where you're going to find the history of all the different contacts that the mobility program has had with the family and which phase they're in, which activities they've gone through. It'll have which units they've been referred to and have put applications in, and if they've been dispersed any funds as part of the mobility program, it'll have their disbursements. So the whole history of their engagement with the program is in the report. And it's the same thing for the owner report. That's the history of the owner's engagement with the program, all the different contacts they've had, the program records of those conversations and what were in those conversations. And, RIFTAs they've filed for different units. That's all in the report. And then the unit report is largely which families this unit has been referred to. So that's the difference between the report and the information form. And now if we go to but back to the dashboard. So I said this is the information in the tool. Well, how do you get information in the tool, and how do you use the tool to provide mobility services? That's all centered around this contact form and activity forms. And there are two kinds of activities. There's activities that are done with the household or family. So those activities have their own activity forms. And then there are activities that are done with owners, and so they have their own activity form. And you can see that you can think of the contact form as kind of a container or a big bowl where you can put one or more activities. So if you have a contact with a family, like if it's just a quick contact or something, and you're not doing any activity from the CMRS guide there, then it doesn't have to have any activities. But let's say you're doing one of the activities in the CMRS guide, and that's part of this particular contact with the family. You can associate that activity and that activity form with the contact form, and same with the owner. You can associate a particular owner activity with that particular contact. So let me stop there and just see if there are any kind of questions on this kind of conceptual of like what's in the tool. You can either put a question in the chat, or you can just take yourself off mute and say a question. Okay.
Right,
Well,
before you move on, Danny,
yes.
was your audio cut out just briefly a few times? Did anyone else hear that, or was that just me?
Oh, sorry about that.
No one else heard that
I did. I was
Oh.
hearing him pretty well.
the
I
whole
don't
time?
know.
Okay, that was
But
weird. All right, never mind.
Sorry about that.
Go
Okay.
on then.
Okay. All right. So now let's go back to the dashboard here, and I want to just show you what the dashboard looks like. So let's go to the next slide. So this is the dashboard, and you can see you see where it says families, and then property owners, and then unit availability and unit outreach. Those are the different tables in the dashboard. So there's the 4 different tables, and the one that's showing right here is the families table. And you can see it's got different columns. So the first column is the head of the household for the family. The second column is the status, whether they're active or inactive. The third column says what phase the family is currently in, and then what was the date and time of the last contact with this family, contacted by, so that's the staff member who had that last contact with the family. Assigned to, that's the coach or leasing navigator who is assigned, currently assigned to work with that family or household. You can see under change assignment, right from the dashboard, you can change which staff member is assigned to that family. So you can do that right from the dashboard. And then you've got this little down arrow there for select action. That's to jump to the contact form. So I said, the dashboard is a good place to get to the contact form. It's not the only way to get to the contact form, and we'll show you other ways. So right from that select action, you can either schedule a contact that's going to be taking place in the future, or if the family just calls you up, and so you want to open up the contact form so you can take notes let's say while you're talking with them, you can do that also from right here. You can just say begin contact, and that'll open up this contact form, and you can start taking notes right then. So now if you're at this dashboard, you see where it says property owners in blue. If you click on property owners, you'll go to the property owners table of the dashboard. And so that's what's in the next slide. Let's go to the next slide here. So this is the property owners table in the dashboard. You can see the columns here, property owner, when they were last contacted, who were they contacted by, then just how many units they own or manage, and then whether they've rented to a voucher holder in the past. And then those the blue boxes with the arrows again are to either schedule a contact with a property owner in the future, or again, if they just happen to call up and you want to open up the contact form right then so you can take notes about the contact while you're talking to them, you can do it from right here. You can just open up that contact form right from here. One thing I didn't mention before, you see there's that on the right side, there's that search box or search box. You can just type in the name of any owner there, and that owner will pop up, because over time, there's going to be a lot of families in the program and a lot of owners. So that search box, you can just start typing in their name and they'll pop right up. So now see where it says property owners and it says unit availability. Let's say we're going to click on unit availability and go to the unit availability table in the dashboard. And so here, similar kind of thing. These are the units in the site, number of bedrooms, which opportunity area that unit is in, a website link URL. So each available unit, it might have a URL where that describes and shows pictures of the unit, so that you can get to that right here from the dashboard. Then whether it's available or not, and the date that was, how fresh is that? What was the last time there was confirmed availability? And here, these action buttons, these blue boxes on the right, those are to confirm available, either confirm available or to say not available. So you can do that right here from the dashboard, and just kind of update, which ones are still available and which ones aren't. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. So the next couple slides are, this is kind of this is a spreadsheet that we're going to be providing you, and on the left of this spreadsheet are all the different activities that you've been trained on. What's in the CMRS guide, all the different activities in the CMRS guide, by phase. And what this table is for everything in the CMRS guide that's supposed to be part of mobility services, there's a way to do it in the tool. And so what this table is saying, it's starting from, the activities of CMRS guide, and then it shows you like how you do it in the service tool. And you can see that for phase 2 and phase 3, most of these are activities, conversations that you'll be having with families. And then in the service tool, there's it's also called an activity, and there's an activity form with the details about that activity that's in the tool. So that can be a vehicle for you to provide the services. And then let's go to the next slide. And this one's just the other phases: phase 4, phase 5, phase 6, and phase 7. And so in the CMRS guide, some of the things that you're going to be doing in a phase are with the household or family themselves, and then some of the things are going to be involving the owner. In the service tool, this is kind of a big distinction: contacts that are made with the family versus contacts that are made with the owner. It's kind of you can think of it as kind of two sides of the tool. And so again, on the left, everything in the CMRS guide, and you can see under the service tool, there's, it shouldn't say phase, it should say kind of, well, yeah, I guess it is phase. But you can see in phase, like for phase 5, for example, a lot of the work that you'll be doing in phase 5 in the leasing up phase has to do with the owner and talking to the owner and answering their questions and helping them fill out the RIFTA and facilitate inspections. So those are in the tool, those are owner activities. So you get there, because they involve some contact with the owner, you would open up the contact form that's for the owner. and that contact form for the owner is associated with the set of activities that are done with the owner. Let me just stop there and say any questions about this? This is a worksheet that we'll be providing you so you can see how you do each thing in the tool. Okay. Let me just go to one last slide. The next slide. So this is just an example. Will's going to be showing you a lot of these, but this is just an example of what, when I say activity form, this is an activity form. So if you're doing the pre-move appointment, and so you're like in the middle of a contact, you can hit pre-move appointment, and you're in the part of the conversation that's intake and introduction. And in the CMRS guide, there are kind of a few things that you're supposed to cover in that part of the conversation. Why did the household choose to participate in the program? What are their neighborhood likes and dislikes? So you can see, so then we've got an activity form that has a field for each of those, things that you're supposed to be covering in that conversation. And you can write them down, right in the field for that part of that element of the conversation. And then all the activities have this kind of general box at the bottom, and activity notes for anything that didn't fit in any of the other boxes. And so that activity notes field is going to be really accessible to you on the household report. So anything that you want to kind of make top of mind, you can put in that activity note box there. Any questions about an activity form? Oh, you're about to see a whole lot more. Okay.
I see Margaret
Oh,
posted in chat. Is there a training manual? Yes. I did send over, I believe, to everyone on this invite the Service Tool user guide and then 2 Service Tool quick reference guides. You can message me if you didn't get those emails.
And so the Service Tool,
we can send it out again.
yeah, the
afterwards.
Service Tool user's guide is kind of like an encyclopedia. It goes through everything that's in the tool and how you do it. And the quick reference guides are obviously quick reference guides. They're more condensed. They don't have all the different screenshots and every last little thing, but are more condensed. Oh yes, yeah. Switching over from enrollment to now the whole mobility services. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna turn it back to Will, and we'll get started with the live demonstration of the tool.
Awesome. Yeah, and for reference, that email was sent on Thursday last. What was that? Yeah, it was yesterday. Yesterday morning. If people want to pull up those documents, but I'll send out again those documents along with that spreadsheet Danny was showing and the practice checklist training checklist after this session. So yeah, now we're going to move on to our live demonstration. Again, this is being recorded, so don't feel like you have to absorb absolutely everything. You are welcome to follow along on the tool if you'd like, or just completely focus on what I'm saying, kind of depending on your learning style, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to pull up the tool. This is the login page for the tool. You can see that it says Community Choice Demonstration Test. This is a test site. So everything entered here is just fictional. You are associated with your actual site, so you'll see, the addresses will be linked to your site. But once the production final version comes out, we'll be giving you new logins. So this is just a test site. Once you create your account and click login, you'll see that there's the 2-factor authentication that'll go to your phone. So you enter in the code, and once you log in, this is the home page of the service tool. So just for demonstration purposes, this my test account is associated with the Minneapolis site. So we'll I'll be doing examples from Minneapolis, but it works the same way for all the other sites. So the home page, you can see there's a button to get to the service delivery tool dashboard. That's the service delivery tool button. This service delivery button up here gets you to the dashboard as well. And then there's two buttons, one to add a new property owner and another to add a new unit. We'll get to that in a bit. And then finally, this account button just allows you to log out or change your two-factor authentication settings. And again, if you need users added to the tool, you can just email myself and we can add you to the tool. Users are either associated with the service tool or the enrollment tool. So we just need that that information, and then we can add users to the tool. Okay, so clicking on the service delivery tool button gets you to the service delivery tool dashboard that Danny was talking about. So this is that table that Danny went over. You can see that Minneapolis Metro is showing up here. So it's showing all of the families who were randomly assigned into the CMRS intervention group and the Minneapolis site in this families tab. So you can filter any of the columns or sort, by alphabetically, or if you wanted to search, you can use the search button. Again, all of the families who come in from the enrollment tool start on this phase 1 study enrollment. So this indicates that they kind of haven't been touched yet. They still someone needs to schedule a pre-move appointment with them. Then clicking to the property owners, this is a list of all the property owners in the site. Going to the unit availability tab by clicking unit availability shows a list of all the units in the site. You can search by whether they are available or not. And here's that action button that Danny was talking about to confirm available or not available. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And finally, an owner outreach tab. This is something Danny didn't cover. So this is a place where you can add owner outreach events that are, not individualized. So they're for a group. So if you had an owner advisory group meeting, or you did, you flyered some community event to try to raise awareness about the demonstration and get new owners involved, you can create a new owner outreach event and fill out the following fields: the date, length of time of the event, how much time you spent preparing the event, and a description. And all those events will be saved here in this table. Okay, so going back, I want to, emphasize again that families are automatically added to the tool when they are assigned from the enrollment tool. So you don't have to add families to the tool. They'll just automatically appear in the service tool. However, units and property owners are things that you as mobility service staff will be adding to the tool. So you're adding information about new property owners, you're adding information about units to the tool in order for them to show up in these two tabs, and in order for you to link activities to property owners and create disbursements and all of that, which I'll get into. So first thing I'll show is how to add a new property owner. So you can add a new property owner by using this button up top here, add new property owner, and this gets you to the property owner information form. So you can, fill out the property owner name, their phone number, any contact information you have, such as their email or their physical address. This isn't the unit address, it's just the address of the property owner. Maybe it's a property management company, which you can kind of select here under their role, what's most applicable. And then some just background information that can be helpful for context, like if they've previously rented to the PHA, if they've rented as part of a mobility program before, whether it's a larger development, receptiveness to voucher tenants, open to applicants with criminal background, number of units owner managed to get a sense of the scope of the portfolio the property manager covers, and you can add a referral source. So if you found the owner online or through an owner outreach event, you can put that there. And then any general notes related to the property owner that isn't covered in the fields above. So once you add all that information, you can click save. And once you do that, that property owner will be added to this table. As you can see, the table provides some summary information, such as the number of units owned or managed if they've rented to voucher holders in the past. And to edit this information, you can click on the property owner name to get to the property owner report. I'll go over this a little bit. I'll go over this in detail later, but to edit information about the property owner, you can click on this, edit this property owner, and this brings you to the same property owner form, and you can edit any information that you'd like. Okay, is there any place to save an attachment, specifically their W-9? Yeah, that's a good question. As of right now, the tool does not have the ability to add attachments. Just going to mention that, so I'll mention it now. Some just security concerns about adding attachments, but it's something we're going to look into for future release of the tool, whether it can add attachments. But right now, if you want to reference any attachments, you can do so in the notes of the tool, and you'll just save that attachment locally elsewhere. But thank you, Shannon. That's a good question. Okay. Any questions about just adding property owners? Okay, so now I'll go into how to add a new unit. So let's say you find a unit on Zillow, you think it's a good fit for the program, and you want to add it to the tool. So you click on the Add New Unit button to get to the unit information form, and we can type in an address of the unit. So I'm in the Minneapolis site, so I'll be entering addresses in the Minneapolis area. If you enter address outside of the Minneapolis area, so if I try to enter the address of Apt Associates where I am, it'll say no match found because it's outside of the area. But any folks in the Minneapolis area have an address you want to try to search for, or a neighborhood to search for, we can try it. Okay, 1001 North Washington. Thank you. Let's see if that works. Is that in Minneapolis, North Washington Avenue? Let's try that. That didn't work, so maybe that address might not be in an opportunity area. So that's a good example. This address is not in an opportunity area. So all the opportunity areas are loaded in based on census tracts. So if you enter an address that isn't in an opportunity area, it's going to give you this error because we want all units that are added to the site to be an opportunity area, because that's the goal of the program. So I'm just going to do an address that I had searched earlier, 4917 Nicollet Avenue. And we can see that the opportunity area Tangletown shows up, and you can put in a URL if you'd like, and every unit has to be associated with a property owner. So either you have already added the property owner for this site, or you can add a new owner directly from this unit information form. So if I just went on Zillow and saw the owner information on Zillow, I could just add their name right here. But in the scenario where, let's say, you don't really know the owner, and you're going to find that out later, you can just put in a placeholder like 4917 Nicollet. So just the address, owner, and then you can put in a placeholder and update that later once you know that information. So I'll click save. And you can fill out basic information about the property, such as number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the unit type, apartment, house, or townhouse. If it has in-unit washer dryer, front door, pets allowed, etc. Security deposit, utility notes, like which utilities are paid by the tenant versus the owner. So you can say tenant pays electricity, owner pays the rest, things like that. So once you fill out that information, you're going to confirm whether the unit is available or not. Usually when you're adding units, it's going to be available. But let's say in the instance that you hear a unit is going to be going on the market in like a month or so, you can say it's not available right now and give yourself a reminder to go back and change the availability to available at a later point. But we'll say that this unit is available right now. Create the unit, and now it is, you can see it in the unit availability table, 4917 Nicollet. And let's say I have later learned the information about the property owner. So I can change like 4917 Nicollet owner to someone's actual name. So I can change it to Nick Olet or something clever. Okay, save that. And going back to the home page or the dashboard, is there an option to add multiple units for the same address at once? Yeah, okay, good question. No, we have only allowed, so let's say it's an apartment complex or something and there's multiple units, you'd have to add each unit individually. You can associate the same property owner with that unit, but you have to add each unit individually because you're referring specific units to families, and the specific units might have different information. Is there a delete option? Oh, yeah, good question. So if the owner is already in the system, we actually had that come up. Right now, there's no delete option. So if you find out that there is an owner that's already in the system, you can just edit it, edit their name to repeat owner, do not use. We're going to consider adding a functionality to delete owners because as the list grows longer, it might be harder to remember what owners are already in the system or not. But hopefully when you add a new unit, you'll see like the, once you put in a address, So do a slightly different address. Okay, not sure why that's not working. What's going on? Okay. Yeah, you'll see all the drop down of the owners to add. So if the owner's not there, you have to add a new one. If it's already there, you just select which owner it is. Okay. And what is
Margaret asked the question.
yeah, what is the ability of a system to do a mass upload? That is something like we can talk offline. We realize like you already have Minneapolis has that owner database and could talk about ways to do that on the back end, but there's no way to do a mass upload on the front end right now. But we'll talk about that offline. Cool. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Is there a way to change which fields are shown in each table? Like say I want to see like the rent amount instead.
Currently, there is not a way to change the fields.
Okay.
But if we find that you all services staff like really want one field or another to be shown in those tables, we can. But currently the way to do that is to see that information would be to click on the owner's name and look at the information.
Is this, I have sort of a separate question. Is this intended to be like a record of all potentially available units, or is this really meant to be like once we're really in a space to like house people and that we're like working one-on-one with a landlord? Because I just think like the pool of available units is going to be so much bigger, and it's really based on the property as opposed to like an individual unit. So like the contact is really with like a property manager for a large complex, and it would be silly to list a specific unit in a 200 unit building. But any one of those units could be available for one of our families at any given time. And the way that our rental market works is like they're coming on and off the market. Like, it's not, they're never going to sit, like by the time we get it entered into the database, it's going to be gone. So I'm just wondering, I guess I want this to work for our needs, and as you guys know that we're planning to sort of use an outside system and try and get you the reporting data that you need for this module, but it's really lovely. Like it looks really pretty, and I feel like I want it to work for our needs. I'm just trying to figure out I don't know. So yes, I'm wondering about the intention around like at what point we're entering this unit in. Is it based on a specific owner contact? I kind of have the impression from that it's also supposed to be for when our leasing coordinator is just probing about units as well. But do we need to have a confirmed actual like live contact with that person if it's a property management company that we've worked with in the past that houses our other tenants and they have a property in their portfolio that's in an opportunity area? Can we just add them and know that it's an available property, or do we need to have had that like really direct conversation with them and saying like, you have a unit, this is the exact unit, and now I'm putting it in this database? Because that's going to be a very small list compared to the potentially eligible or potential list of units that we're sorting through. That was a very long question, but
I would say it's not really meant to be the potential available, all the units that could come up. It's really more like these are units that are in a way live candidates for someone who's looking now, so we know that this unit is available now, and we might be referring this unit. So this is going to, site by site, it's going to be very different because the rental markets are very different, and the turnover and how quickly the unit is available and then gets leased up, it's very different site by site. And so we've got one tool, and it's so you should try and make the tool kind of work the best that you can for your kind of rental market. But it's not intended to be all the potential units. So in the situation that you're describing, Margaret, where it's like you've got an owner who has a lot of units. They've got a lot of units, and it's good to be in contact with them because at any given time, one of their units might be open. And so that's where it's you've got the owner contact here. So that's why we've got the owner contact where you talk to them. But then it's like when you find out that there's a live unit that is open right now, those are the ones that you would put in now rather than all the potential ones. That's kind of how we're thinking about it.
Yeah. And if you want to put in a generic address, for an apartment complex, you can do that. And then just have that be, in the background and update that when it's the unit is available. But
what about in terms of like associating properties together? We've got large, companies that have multiple large developments, and they own, multiple properties. And the owner contact, is that intended to be like the site contact? So like your property manager contact? Or is it meant to be like the actual owner contact? Because usually those are being professionally managed, or they've got,
Yeah.
property management staff. Yeah.
We meant it to be whoever the program would be naturally talking
Communicating
to.
with.
So if it's a leasing management company, because they got lots and lots of developments and stuff, then it should be the leasing management company. And if it's a small thing, where it's a smaller owner, they just got a few units, then it can be the owner. So owner, we really mean by owner term, any of those things, a lease coordinator, a property management firm. And so that's right. So if you entered a property management firm here, you could, all the developments that they're, representing could all be listed here under that leasing management company. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then are we gonna then affiliate, will they end up kind of getting affiliated together? Like if we've got one of our big affordable housing developers is Aon, that would be under the company name, and then the site, and then you'd be able to maybe on your back end, but not accessible to us, you'd be able to pull up all the Aon properties.
Yeah,
right. So if you added Aon as a property like owner, so to speak, like it's the management, it could be, it could be different people you are contacting, but if you wanted to group all the Aon properties, you can add them as an owner, and then like you'll see the list of associated units. All the Aon would be there. Maybe the units have different, staff people associated with them, and then you could add that to like the actual unit. Say like, the contact for this unit is whoever, Joe Smith, but like the owner, in order to link them, if you have the owner be like that property company, you can do that. So there are ways to group things, but yeah, it's going to depend on your needs. Hopefully we can find a solution to each of those scenarios. But yeah, totally hear you there. We were trying to make a tool that was, could be used for just one-off mom and pop owners, and then these big companies as well. Okay. I hear you. I see the rent would be helpful on the overview screen for maybe the unit availability. I'll show another, once we get to phase 4, when we're referring units, there is a way to see that the rent there, kind of as a quick view, but hear you that might be useful in this table as well. Any other questions about adding owners and units and the service dashboard before I go into scheduling and conducting contacts with families. Okay, great. So Danny touched on this a little bit, but I just want to give kind of another conceptual framing about what is a contact. So in the tool, contacts with families should be recorded using this contact form that I'll show whenever information related to the delivery of services is shared, during direct communications between you and the family, or you and a property owner. That would be an owner contact. So contact methods could include phone calls, voicemails, video calls, text, emails, or in-person meetings. So if a family or owner sends you a message, that's a direct, contact, and we want you to record that using the contact form. If you send a family or owner a message but don't receive a response, that we would say is just an outreach attempt. There's a place to note those outreach attempts. I'll show you on the household information form or the property form, but we wouldn't consider that like a contact because no, information really was shared. So that's what a contact means. And like Danny said, sometimes within contacts, you're doing activities in that, CMRS bucket, and sometimes there aren't any activities associated with it. There'll just be some, conversation points, notes that you can put in, but no activities were actually completed or conducted. So I will demonstrate how to schedule a contact, and right now I'm gonna be using the example of Nicki Minaj, and Nikki is in the study enrollment phase, right? So hasn't been contacted yet. If I wanted to assign Nikki to myself as a mobility staff, I can do that here. You can see other mobility staff in Minneapolis site are already available to add. So I'll assign Nikki to me, and you can see that Will Test mobility staff shows up. And to schedule a contact, you can do so in two different ways. So either using the schedule contact button or by clicking on the head of household name to get to the household report and scheduling a contact this way. So I'll schedule that contact. It's going to be the pre-move appointment. It's the first thing I'm going to do with the family. So I'll say it's video session. Pre-move appointment will be, we'll just say right now for the sake of things, but you can obviously make it whenever. You can enter the planned activities. So I'll enter pre-move appointment now, but later on you could enter unit referral or, post-move check-in, whatever the contact is about. Enter the planned duration. You can update the contact duration right before ending it. The reason we want to know duration is just for evaluation, kind of the extent, the dosage of like services provided to families. Who initiated the contact, and any additional notes to remind you of things you want to do during that contact. So once that's all there, click schedule contact, and we can see, excuse me, under this scheduled contacts table, which is also on the service dashboard, that you'll see that Nikki has a video session today. It's a pre-move appointment, and that's under there. So you can see household contacts, property owner contacts. These are all upcoming. If you scheduled contacts but missed it, it's in the past, they'll appear in this overdue tab. You can also see other contacts that other users in the site have entered by toggling between all and yourself, your username. And to begin a contact, there, once to begin a contact, once you've scheduled it, you just click on the blue contact method to pull up the contact form. if you had wanted to edit any of this information before the scheduled contact begins, you can do so and just click save again. But once you're ready to begin the contact, in this case, it's going to be the pre-move appointment, click this begin contact now button. Okay. So once that button's clicked, you can see the status of this contact is in progress. A few things I want to mention. For reference information about the households, you can open this households report by clicking the View Household Report button, and that opens in a separate tab the household report for Nikki. And once more contacts and activities have taken place, these sections will be fleshed out more, and I'll touch on that. So it's a good way to see everything that has happened with that household. Once the contact is in progress, you'll see that there is ability to add activities, change the phase of the household, and access other activities in different phases. And there's also a button to schedule a follow-up appointment. So if you want, or follow-up contact. So let's say the pre-move appointment, supposed to be 90 minutes, but it's going over time and you need to schedule part 2, you can do that, or schedule just a next check-in call or whatever, you can do that right here from within a contact. Or you can do it once you end the contact, just scheduling contact regularly, like I was showing. Excuse me. So to add information to activities, you're going to select what activity you want to edit. So in the pre-move appointment stage, the only activity in the pre-move appointment stage is the pre-move appointment. And so when you click on that box and open it up, there's like different subsections because it's a pretty long activity, but other activities will just have just one section, which you'll see. So opening up the intake and introduction section, we have some reference information such as the address of the household at enrollment. And as Danny was describing on the slides, here is the boxes to enter information about the household and about the pre-move appointment meeting that the conversation points that you'll be discussing. So description of why the household wants to participate in the mobility program, current housing and neighborhood situation likes, dislikes, and any other activity notes. Okay. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to fill out this information, but did want to note that, there are some fields that if you don't enter in anything and you try to click save, it will prompt you to enter some information. That's kind of just a nudge towards, these are the questions or topics that, CMRS wants you to cover, and any, conversation that is had with a family or owner, you're required to enter that information and into the tool. This is for, your sake to track all the information discussed and also for the evaluation as well. But there are other fields like activity notes, which are, optional, and you can use it kind of how you see fit. So you can use it to write down any other information that you want that, didn't fit in any of the other fields. Okay. So clicking save, going on to the next activity within the pre-move appointment, which is mapping family system. So again, filling out this information. We can just put some examples of non-movable people or activities the family does on a regular basis. Does anyone have, what would an example be of a non-movable or fixed people or activities? What would, for in this instance, Nikki say hypothetically that we could put here? Anyone have any?
My mother
thoughts?
watches my child in a certain area and she's not movable.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Right. In a certain neighborhood, on Sundays or whatnot. Exactly. So that's the type of information we enter, and clicking save, you can, that information is saved. So if you want to go back and edit it, you're able to do so. Okay. Opportunity area education, again, household concerns or worries. I won't go into detail about what to add here, but there's some notes in italics about what kinds of things you can add. This list of opportunity area neighborhoods is just the first reference to different areas that the household might be interested in. So you can select different neighborhoods. It'll be customized to your site. If you want to select multiple neighborhoods, you just hold down the control button and you can select some neighborhoods. We're going to try to get these in alphabetical order because right now they're not in any particular order. Great. Clicking save and going to household needs. So some activities have reference information on the side, so you can see that for this household needs activity, it's talking about household needs for the unit, number of bedrooms. So it's important to know what is the household family size. So you can see there are no additional adults other than the head of household, and there's only one child under 17 in this household. So that's just reference information that can be useful in having this conversation. So what should we put for household needs for Nikki in terms of number of bedrooms, bathrooms, accessibility, anything? What are some examples we could put? You can put it in the chat or just say it out loud. Great, yeah. Washer, dryer, and unit. No stairs. So single level. Great. I'll say, 2 bedrooms. Exactly, things like that. You all get the idea. And this information will be shown later when you are looking to refer units to the household. So we'll see that information come up. Okay, going to barriers to moving. This activity allows you to note any household credit score concerns, other rental history concerns, etc. And Again, if you click save without entering any information, you'll see what fields are required. So if there aren't any concerns, you can just type none. Rental history, no prior eviction. And you can select any referrals you're making to that family. So the renter's workshop, maybe legal services, or anything else. And when you select referrals, you can add more information about that referral. So the next field is the whether the household is interested in application cover letter assistance. So you can select yes or no. If you select yes, this application cover letter assistance will be suggested as an activity to complete in the next phase. Okay, moving on to the family preparation plan. Again, I won't go through this in detail, but you're able to, this maps pretty well onto the CMRS guide list of the pre-search plan steps. So this could be like attending workshops or attending referrals, things of that nature. And you can list that there. Again, you can select opportunity areas, families affordability based on budget. And finally, can set an initial goal move date. We'll set that a few months from today, date to begin receiving unit referrals, and date to try to complete the research steps. Any questions on this pre-move activity? Okay. So once you're ready to finish the activity, you can click finish the activity, and the activity will show, the activity box will show in green. That indicates that you've clicked finish activity. And since the pre-move appointment was the only activity for this phase, you're now suggested to change the phase of the household. So I'll talk a little bit more about changing the phase of a household. We want you to, the evaluation wants you to change phases of the household when, when the household's ready to move on to the next phase, in order to kind of track the time that families spend in each phase. So in this instance, once the pre-move appointment is complete, you're able to change the phase of the household by clicking change the phase, selecting family preparation, and clicking save. So that changes the phase officially of the household. You can see now it's moved from pre-move to family preparation, and a different set of activities is available. So you're going to want to change the phase. You can only change the phase within a contact. So I'll talk more about viewing activities that have already been completed outside of a contact, but you're only able to change the phase of a family within a contact. So right before ending that pre-move appointment, if it's completed, change the phase to 3. and then you can click on
Before you end, I just wanted to point out, you've shown this, but I just wanted to say it, which is, you can see how we've got this contact form, and then like when you hit an activity, the activity form like opens up on top of the contact form, right? And then you're in this activity form, and then when you finish that activity, you go back to the contact form. So I just wanted to kind of note that. So you've got this contact form open. As you do any activities in that contact, it opens up activity forms on top of the contact form. And then when you're done with the activity, you close it. Then you're like back in the contact form, kind of like I said, the bowl, the container. You're back in the contact form. And so then, all right, let me stop there.
Yes.
And then
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That's right. So, we just finished all the pre-move appointment activities, in this contact form, which is still open. You can say, moved family to phase 3. And let's say you want to schedule up a follow-up contact with the family by video session. You're going to do it the following week. And this is going to be like family preparation activities that you want to conduct. And you can schedule that follow-up contact right from within the contact. And so that contact is complete. We're going to click on end contact now, and you can see the contact is ended, but that, we see this scheduled contact appear in the scheduled contacts table, and we can see that Nikki, is now in phase 3. So once we're ready to begin that phase 3 contact, you can click in, hit begin contact now, and now we're in like a phase 3 contact. So just wanted to talk more about these buckets of activities. So we have under add activity, we have suggested activities and other activities. The tool will suggest activities that, are supposed to be completed in each phase. So, all families are recommended to attend the housing search workshop. All families, you're going to want to make referrals to address any barriers that they have, etc. So that shows up in the categories of suggested to kind of, prompt you to conduct those activities. However, you can choose to do other activities at any time. There's nothing stopping you from doing other activities at any time.
And Caitlin had a question. If you could scroll up, Will, where that box where it says planned activities, that's actually just an open text box.
Field.
So it's not a drop down. You can type anything in there, because maybe even you're scheduling a contact that isn't about an activity. You can just type whatever you want in there, what's ever planned.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Might have been confusing because I have typed in pre-move appointment so many times that it has some saved data, but that isn't a drop down. That's just saved data from my browser. Thanks for that question. Okay. So let's say I'm going in to say that the application cover letter assistance. So as a coach, I've provided cover letter assistance, and said provided comments on draft cover letter. But the cover letter, the family has not completed the cover letter yet. So in this instance, instead of clicking finish activity, I might want to only click finish activity when the cover letter is complete. I can just click save. And so the information is saved, but that activity box, the application cover letters, doesn't turn green. And when I want to go back and say, maybe I say yesterday provided comments on the draft cover letter, and then today family revised and completed cover letter. I can change this to yes and click finish activity. And now that activity turns green. So just wanted to show you like that functionality. Depending on whether you finish or just want to save information, you can click save versus finish activity. Okay, let's go into referrals to address barriers. You can see like what referrals I made during.
Gabby's got her hand up. Yep.
Oh,
Hi, yeah. I was just curious, when you finish an activity or say you change phases, it's automatically going to generate that time that you did it, correct? Like say like 2 days ago, I actually finished that phase, but I'm submitting it now. Is there a way to go back and actually change it to 2 days ago's date, or is it going to be on today's date, if that makes sense?
I think it whatever is like it's when you actually do it in the tool. I don't think
Okay.
there's a way to change it, but if for some reason you forget to change phase or something, and only change, let's say you finish the pre-move appointment 2 days ago on the 27th, but you only changed phase on the 29th, you can, I'll show you on the household report, like where you can note that in text, but in the tool, it will say, change phase from 2 to 3 on whatever day you actually change the phase.
Okay, thank
There's
you.
no way to edit that. But yeah, we encourage you to try to change the phase when it's ready, but from some phases that's more of a judgment call than others. So we only want you to change phase when the an actual phase change is called for. So if you're in phase 3 and you want to go back to information entered in phase 2, the pre-move appointment, you can do so in a couple ways. One, using this all activities box, you can go and select any activity. So you can go back to housing needs and change, let's say I want to add 2 bathrooms to this housing needs. I can do that, save that, and that information is updated and without changing the phase. So I wouldn't change the phase to phase 2 to update any information. I'd use this all activities box to do so. There's also another way to update activities, which is using the activity history in the household report. I'll go into a little bit more later, but you can click on this activity tab, history tab, go into phase 2, view and edit whatever activity you want to change, and do it that way. So again, just really want to emphasize changing phase should only change phase when the household's ready to change phase. Okay, so yeah, again, referrals to address barriers. You can this activity is about kind of like confirming whether referrals were made. So let's say even if you didn't mention that you were going to do a referral in phase 2 for legal services, that's okay. You can still go ahead and select it in phase 3 under this referrals to address barriers activity. You can say the referral was completed. Say the barriers were addressed. In this case, maybe like a misdemeanor demeanor was expunged, something, and type out any additional referrals needed or notes, again, using the field there. So if you want to add multiple referrals, click save, and go back into that activity and just add another one. So you can say the renter's workshop was completed. You can say they attended workshop, etc. But once all the referrals, you've completed you've added all the information you want about the referrals, you can click finish activity, and that activity will turn green. Okay. Finally, the final family preparation check-in. You'll do this at the end to confirm that the family has either completed or made sufficient progress on their pre-move steps identified in the family prep plan, and indicate whether they're ready to start searching and applying for units. And so once that's complete, it'll suggest changing the phase to the household to phase 4, owner outreach, searching applications. You can do that. And I'll go ahead and end the contact here, and we can see that Nikki is now in phase 4. Let's say the leasing coordinator or you as a coach have been adding some units that might be of interest. When you're ready to refer units to Nikki, you can go ahead and either schedule a contact or begin a contact with Nikki to do that referral. So to begin a contact immediately, kind of without scheduling it, you can either hit this begin contact now under select action, or go to the household report and click begin contact now. So we can see that when I hit that, it's just automatically in progress. We're in phase 4. I want to do some unit referrals. We're doing this in person, and we can update this contact duration, after the contact. So I just want to do the unit referrals tours and applications activity. The other two are very self-explanatory. So opening up this activity, there are a few things to note. So you can either just immediately start typing in an address to refer the household to. You can only refer households to units that have been added to the system. So this is not to, you're not referring just any old unit. It's units that are in opportunity areas that are added to the system, to the tool using the add new unit functionality. So you can either just, if you know the address you want to refer to, like that 497 Nicollet, you can just type it in there. But really nice feature is this housing match button. So clicking on the housing match button, we can see all the units in the area and some information, about Nikki's household needs that we had put in earlier, like washer dryer and unit, no stairs, 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. And you're able to search by opportunity area, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the unit type, all of that, in order to identify a appropriate unit. So if you were looking at this table, which of these units would you say might be good for Nikki? Anyone have like a suggested unit, or how they would use any of these filters?
Putting on you would put in the number of bedrooms and the number of bathrooms.
Yeah, that's a great way to start. So, I mean, we can put in 2 bedrooms. Okay, we can see that there's only 1 unit out of the 5 listed with 2 bedrooms. Maybe the bathrooms are more important. So yeah, that's, that's one way of using this. Or if you knew the opportunity area, if Nikki was interested in a Edina, you can put in Edina, that'll pop up.
Will,
So
can you search for 2 things at once? So like if you put in 3
yes.
for bedrooms, you put in 3 for bedrooms.
Oops. Yeah. So you can put
And if you take away, oh yeah,
so you can put in like 3 for
3
bedrooms and then
bedrooms and then 1
1 for
bathroom.
bathroom. And
Yeah,
yeah, you can, every
3
single one
bedrooms.
of these boxes you can filter. So once you have a bunch of units in, you can, go by opportunity area, 3 bedroom, 2 bathrooms, house, and it'll just show you all of that. If you want, yeah. So once you've like identified a appropriate unit, you click on the unit, and you can see some more information like the security deposit. We can consider whether maybe putting the security deposit or the contract rent on that initial table might make more sense, if that's a really important factor. So you click on the unit you want to refer, you see more information. And if you want to refer them to that unit, you can just put the date of referral. And if that's all you're doing in this, contact is just referring, you can click save. And then later, if Nikki was going to be wanting to tour that unit, you can also track that information using this same activity. So clicking on the activity again, you can see, I didn't mention before, there's some like reference information like the family affordability, list of opportunity areas that they're interested in, and then previously referred units. So we can see 4917 was previously referred. We type that in again, click it, and then we see, okay, it was referred on 29th. The household did tour it. They're very interested in the unit. Can put any notes here, and whether they submitted an application or not. So if they don't, you can click no. If they do, click yes, and then there'll be another drop down about if you provided any application assistance, and if so, what date. And then finally, the application result. So if you know the application result, click accepted or denied. If not, you can just click saved. But once you do know that application result, go back into this activity. This might be an example of like where the application result is something you learn maybe outside of a contact, potentially, where you can go and edit the application result, saying that they, were accepted to the unit, and might you can write notes like I don't know what I'll put it to you. What potential notes might you write about like a unit application? Yes. Oh, yeah. If they were denied, actually, that is a field. So if they're denied, you have to put a reason for denial, credit report, criminal history, other unknown. But if they're accepted, you can put in maybe that security deposit assistance needed, just to remind yourself to do that. And so I updated that via the household report, but going back into the contact, you can see that all that information is is there. So in phase 4, you're able to also make disbursements to the families. So in any phase, you're able to make disbursement to the family, but in phase 4, in this unit referral applications activity, you're able to do it like right from within a contact. So if I click on disbursement tracker for households, we can see the disbursement tracker, and you're able to select a disbursement like use. So for this activity, we might want to disperse some funds for the application fee. So let's say it was, $50 application fee. That was dispersed for this unit, 4917. We get the property owner just pops up right there automatically. And we can say, application fee paid to owner. And we can see that $50 is about to be dispersed. And once we click save, you can see the disbursement has been created. And if we go again to the disbursement tracker, we can see that $50 has already been dispersed since it's showing up in green. So if we want to make any other disbursements, like maybe public transportation stipend for a tour, we can do that. Anything, bus costs for touring around, do that. This is also, you're also able to create disbursements in the household report. So under this disbursement history category, you'll see that there's, you'll see the application fee that I did and the transportation stipends. And once we're outside of the contact, we can create new disbursements just from right here, which I'll show. Okay. So once that activity is finished, then the household, they've accepted an application. Household is ready to move to phase 5. We can move the household to phase 5. Click save and end the contact. So realizing, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through the last 2 phases, and then we'll take our lunch break so we can get through all of the family activities. So the next phase is phase 6. So, or phase 5, sorry, leasing up. So like Danny mentioned, this is mostly on the owner side, but for the household side, phase 5 looks like phase 5 has the search outcome activity. It also has flexible financial support, which is another disbursement tracker option where you can add different uses like the coach's discretionary fund. So if you're paying off utility arrears or something like that, you can do that here. But I'm just going to demonstrate the search outcome activity. So this is where you put the outcome of the search. So this isn't something that's like directly in the CMRS guide. This is something that is used for reference. So you can say whether the search time was extended or not, and importantly, the search outcome. So for families that move to opportunity areas, you'll select that. For families that moved but to non-opportunity areas, you'll select that, and give a reason why they didn't move to an opportunity area. If they renewed their lease and did not move, also give a reason here. But in this case, in our example, Nikki did move to 4917 Nicollet. And we put that address in, which shows all the units and the date they moved or will move. and any additional notes. You know, and we can click finish, and that search outcome field is green, and we can be ready to, you know, change the phase of the household once that search outcome is completed. Because they're, you know, once you can confirm that their search outcome, they're going to move, like that means they're, you know, all that RFTA, RFTA paperwork is probably complete, so you can move them to phase 6. So I'm gonna do that. I know I'm going through these a little more quickly than the others, but know that you'll have plenty of time to play around with this yourself. I just didn't want to spend too much time going into the details of the activities, just showing you kind of how the tool works in general. So in phase 6, there's just really one main activity, which is the family 1 month post-move check-in. And this has the post-move assessment built into the tool. So you can select, you know, this is going to be probably an in-person post-move assessment. You can select the different like kind of responses for the following questions, and select the grade of the issue if there is any. So this matches exactly with the CMRS guide. And there's just this is that post-move assessment, which is programmed into the tool. And you're also able to make any additional referrals if you'd like. Here. So I did want to mention that families who do not move to opportunity areas are not eligible for services in phase 6. So in that last, you know, phase 5, if you do in that search outcome, if they do not move to an opportunity area, you'd actually change the family's phase directly to phase 7, because they're, you know, they've completed their search, and they're not going to receive this 1 month post-move check-in. So once that post-move check-in is complete, you can change the phase to completed service or completed search. And in the completed search, phase 7, there are these open door check-ins and the annual check-in, which occurs 9 months after move-in. And so you're able to enter information based on whether the household moved to an opportunity area, the benefits and drawbacks of that move, or if they didn't move to an opportunity area, the benefit and drawbacks. If they did move to an opportunity area, you're going to want to note whether the household is considering moving again. If they are, note any issues that can be resolved without the household having to move, and if they're interested in moving to another opportunity area. So if they are interested in moving to another opportunity area, you'll get a prompt to change the phase of the household back to phase 2, which is the pre-move appointment phase, to kind of start that move process all over again. Again, this won't happen until like a year in, at least. So this is something just for the future that you will be able to kind of reinitiate a household search process using the same phases. Okay, that was a lot, and I'm gonna pause for questions before we take a break and then get back into more owner activities. But are there any questions about family contacts and activities that I can answer? Okay, I think not. Let us take our lunch break, and after the break, we'll go into owner contacts and activities and the household owner and unit reports. So let us come back at 12:45 Eastern. Yeah, let's come back at 1:45 Eastern or 12:45 Central, and then we'll continue from there. So I will stop sharing and stop recording, and yeah, we will take our break. Thanks, everyone. Hope people had a good break. Before I start into the owner contacts and activities, which will be our next section, does anyone have any questions that came up during the break, or things they were confused on during that first part of the live demo? Okay, well, if anything comes up, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself. All right. So yeah, we covered the family activities and conducting contacts with family. So now we're going to shift to owner contacts and activities. So starting a contact with the property owner is very similar to the family. You can go to the property owners tab and schedule a contact with the property owner by selecting this blue arrow and clicking schedule contact or begin contact now. So let's say we wanted to begin a contact with this property owner, Nick Olette. It's going to be our first contact with this owner or property manager, leasing agent, whatever their role might be. And we're going to do the initial contact activity. So I'll click begin contact. This contact form pulls up. It's a similar structure to the family's contact form. But you'll notice that there is not a property owner report to pull up, and that there aren't the owner activities are not broken down by phase. So you can do any of the owner activities at any point, because an owner could be, in a family could be in different phases with the same owner, right? So like you could be making an initial contact about a unit for one family while conducting, lease up or a post-move check-in with the same owner for another unit, right? So it's not divided into phases. All the activities for owners are shown at once here. So we can put in the contact method, say, this is a initial contact. Put in a duration. Again, we can update that before we end the contact. And clicking on the initial contact box pulls up some fields where you can check off what topics were discussed in this initial contact. Again, the initial contact is just the terminology. If you happen to, contact an owner multiple times and these topics, such as the owner experience renting to tenants with HCVs or owner incentives for renting to tenants. In the demonstration, if those topics come up later, you can always add to this information. But usually a lot of these topics will come up in your first contact with the owner. So checking off any of the topics discussed, you can write down the answers to the questions. You're talking to the owner about their experience renting to tenants. familiarity with the HCV leasing process and program, and maybe some of the incentives for renting to tenants. So like I'll put this question out to you all. What might you discuss with the owner about incentives for renting or, for accepting tenants in the demonstration? Any ideas? Yes, lease up bonus, great. Sharita, absolutely. Yeah, lease up bonus, damage mitigation fund maybe, just like the stable rent, lots of incentives. So if they have like any questions about that, or if you talk specifically about any of those, you can note that, if there's like a particular selling point that they feel, engaged with, you can note that there. So the final topic is unit information availability. Often you're going to be contacting an owner to talk about the units itself and when they're available. So this is a box to write notes about the units, like 4917 Nicollet, becoming available in August. And if you're making this contact about a particular family, like if I was really wanted to talk to this owner about why they should rent to Nicki Minaj, you can write their name here, and all the families in the system will show up, and you can select what family you're talking about and note any topics related to that family. So clicking save, unlike unlike family contacts, you're never really you can do these activities with owners multiple times, so there's no finishing contacts. You just can save it and click in, and you'll see like that information is still there. And if we go back to Nikki, like that information under topics is still there. But if you want to talk about someone else like Steve Martin or whatever, they will have specific notes related to each household, so you can keep that separate there. So that's the initial contact activity. Moving on to RFTA, request for tenancy approval assistance activity. You do this, when a family is leasing up in phase 5. So on the family side, they're in phase 5, and on the owner side, you go in and select a unit to complete a RFTA, and I'm realizing that there isn't another. This dropdown shows only available units, and since this owner has only one unit, which is not available because we leased it up to Nikki, it's not showing. So I'm gonna do a contact with another unit that has, or another owner that has an available unit, so we can see what that looks like. And let me go back and explain what I just did instead of clicking really fast. So I am in the properties owners tab, or no, sorry, I was in the unit availability tab. I can see that 4917 Nicollet is not available because it was leased up by Nicki Minaj. I can see that 4123 York Ave is available. I clicked into the unit. I can see in this unit info what the property owner is. This was like another kind of placeholder. It was the property owner's name was 4123 York. So if I begin contact now with this owner, I can like find out maybe what their actual name is to update it. And here to go into the RFTA, I can select a unit 4123 where the RFTA was completed, the household name. So let's say, Steve Martin. Any questions property owner has about filling out the RFTA, and were those questions like addressed? like basically were there any unanswered questions or issues? If there, were unanswered questions or issues, we'd want you to explain that here. But if not, if everything is fine, or there are no questions, click yes. You can fill out the date the RFTA was turned into the PHA and whether it's been approved by the PHA or not. So clicking save, oops, look, fill out that field, no questions. Clicking save will save that information, and that will go into the property owner contact history, which I'll show after finishing these contacts. Okay, so along with the RFTA are the inspections activity. So this is noting inspections on the unit. So for 4123, we can say that, this unit was going to be inspected so that Steve Martin can move in. The inspection date was this Monday, and it passed. You can update this as needed. Same way you can update family contacts just by clicking save. And if you need to go back in to edit any of that information, you just select the unit and it'll, select the unit, write the household name, and then that information will pop up. Okay. Any questions about those first 3 activities that I covered? Great. Okay, so
sorry, I
oh,
do
yeah.
have a question. I don't know if this is just our agency, but we also have an inconclusive option. For reporting purposes, even if we're not using this tool, would we have to switch those to fail?
Oh, the inspections?
Yep.
Pass, fail, inconclusive. Oh, I guess not a pass would be a fail, and you can note that. Danny. Yeah, that's kind of up to your.
Functionally, what happens when the inspection result is inconclusive? Then what
Right.
is the rental allowed to proceed?
That's right.
No.
Or I guess yeah, I think in most cases, no.
Okay. Yeah, then probably it's equivalent to a fail, but
you can certainly use the notes field to
you use the notes field, right?
say it was inconclusive.
Saying pass or fail is just it's a internal thing. It's not going to prevent you from moving on with the lease up. It's just for internal tracking. So you can use this field however you'd like. Any other questions? Okay. So the next 3 fields, holding fee, security deposit, lease up bonus, that's all to do with lease ups that would happen while a family is leasing up. These fields are pretty similar, so I'll just let's say that we want to pay the security deposit for Steve Martin to move in. So we'd select the unit, select Steve Martin, amount to be dispersed. That's whatever the security deposit is, and the date it was paid and any other notes. So, deposit paid to owner. By check, or whatever you want to write. So clicking save, we'll save that information. Again, holding fee is pretty similar, but there's some additional fields like have you completed the holding fee agreement form, and was that holding fee, eventually you can select whether the holding fee was kept by the owner due to the family backing out of the lease. Lease up bonus is basically identical to the security deposit form. Okay, next activity, the owner 1 month post-move check-in. So this happens about 1 month after the family moves in. You can select which unit you're talking about, the household associated with that unit. So in this case, Steve Martin, the date of the check-in, format again, and then topics discussed. So like the initial contact, whatever you select about topics discussed, you can provide more information about. So we encourage you to, whatever topics are discussed, provide that information. There's an other topics field, different topics come up, and a field to note any unmet needs that you might want to follow up on. So clicking save again, and there's additional post-move check-ins. You're gonna, there's always gonna be a reason for the check-in, so you can fill that out and plan next steps for addressing the reason for check-in. Again, these are kind of as needed check-ins. And finally, damage mitigation fund. If this needs to be used, you'll select the unit, the head of household, whether the owner completed the application, and then the amounts to be dispersed and all of that. And yeah, if there, you want to associate this, with a file in your system, say, see, folder for copy of fund application and receipt of payment. In the future, there might be the ability to attach files to this activity, but right now there isn't. So those are all the owner activities. A little more straightforward. Again, just like the family, you'll fill out the contact method and planned activities in these fields, and once you're finished with the contact, you can click End Contact Now. Where do you add a family's interactions with property owners? Oh, good question. Gabby, what examples do you have of what that would look like, or what would a family?
Oh, it's just like say they want to set up the unit tour themselves, or ask more about the unit. Do we put that on the owner side or on the family side, or where does it go?
Yeah, good question. I mean, that is not like a contact that you need to track.
Okay.
Per se, because that didn't involve you, but I mean, it's definitely good notes to have. So if like the family did set up a tour or like talk to the property owner, you can note that in a number of places. So you could note that. I was going to go into the household report right now, so I'll do that. So in the household report, there's something called this household information form. And clicking on the household information form, there's a number of different sections. So there's like a program status, next steps field where you can put, things that you want to do and follow up on as a coach with the family, or any notes about contacts that a family might have with property owner. I mean, another option is, it just kind of depends what you want to note. Like if you wanted to note the kind of the family's interest in the unit, you can go back to that the unit referrals towards applications activity and go back to the unit you referred. Oops, 49. What's not coming up?
I think it might be because
it's because it was already
unavailable.
right. Anyway, but if this unit was still available, you could note the household level of interest here and say they talked to the property owner. So there's a few different places you can note that. You could even, if you wanted, again, this is like this tool is like flexible, and people are going to be using it in different ways. Like if you wanted to note it like in the unit information under general notes, you can say Nikki talk to owner and is interested for XYZ reason. So there's a few different places you can put it, but
Okay.
you don't need to make a contact.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, let me go. Unless folks have any more questions about the owner activities, I will go into the household report. Okay, so the household report is kind of analogous to your case folder or like case file for each family in the tool. So to get there, you click on the name of the head of household. So I'll click on Nikki, and now we see some basic information like the name, phone, cell, email, address where they moved to once they move, total number of contacts, when they were last contacted, if they have any upcoming contacts, and you can see all the phase transitions. So you can see, when they transition from each phase, which can be helpful. Of course, right now it's all today because we did it all today, but that won't be the case. And further down, we have pin notes, which I'll talk about. Activity history, I touched on, but basically it allows you to quickly look across all of what has happened within each phase without actually having to change the family's phase. So clicking on the name of each phase reveals the activities that have been started or completed with that phase. So you'll only see activities that have been touched initially through a contact, or like some information has been updated in them. So you can see here that there's things in phase 2, 3, 4, 5. There's nothing in 6 because I didn't add any information to any phase 6 activities through a contact. So that's why there's no activity history for phase 6. So if I wanted to, change, right, I think I demonstrated this earlier. If I want to change something about the housing needs, or if I needed to update the search outcome, I can do that from the activity history. But if information you're learning comes through a contact with a family, like you should update it through the contact. Unless it yeah. But that being said, you don't want to change the phase of the family. So if you need to update something, through a contact, you can use this all activities button to also get there, get to the different activities without changing the phase of the family. It's a little, oops, now that I started. We also don't want people just to open up contacts and close them without finishing them. So we require that you just like fill out just the information. So let's say if it was like a quick email, you could just say email, it took 1 minute, and write whatever you emailed them about, can end that contact. Okay, so contact history. So the contact history is a place that lists all of the dates of each contact you've done and the activities completed in each contact and the contact and activity notes. So you can see that for the we had a contact. This is phase 3. It was a video session. We did the application cover letter activity, and I wrote those notes in that activity that we provided comments, and they revised and completed the cover letter. So it lists all the activities done in each contact, and if you want to like pin these activities or notes, say you like really want to remember that they completed the cover letter, I can pin this activity note, or I can pin the activity itself by clicking on the star. And once that's filled in, if you go back up to the pin notes, that will show in the pin notes. You can also pin contact notes itself. So those contact notes are like the notes about the contact overall. So for this contact, I just noted that we changed to phase 4. But that is what the contact history shows. It's a very high level type of thing. But if you want to look at what was actually entered in the activities, you go to the activity history. Disbursement history lists all of the disbursements made to the household. So remember, we did the application fee and the transportation stipend. If I wanted to add a disbursement, I could do so by clicking this button. You get the disbursement tracker again. Can add disbursement there, and you can see how much has already been dispersed compared to the household budget. So the household budget of $750 is it includes all of the like disbursements that go directly to the family. It does not include security deposit assistance or the lease up bonus or the damage mitigation funds, since those go to the owner. Like those disbursements don't count against the household budget, so that's why those disbursements don't show up in the household disbursement tracker and are instead separate owner activities that you fill out. So if you remember, we did a disbursement going back to the property owner side. We did a disbursement for 4123 York. Now I'm in the property owner report, property owner side. We can see like that security deposit was done, that's where it shows up under the property owner. Okay. Going back to the household, the last section here is the list of referred units. So it shows that Nikki was referred to 4917 Nicolette. But under the household info section, there's this household information form.
Before you go to the household information form, can you go back to the household report? I just kind of wanted to emphasize all the things that you can do right from this household report. So we'll show you on the activity history. You can go in and change information or add additional information to any activity as long as it's been started within a contact form, originally within a contact. So once it's been started within a contact, you can then add in additional information directly from this household report page. And he showed you that the disbursement, you can actually, if you're going to make disbursements to the family that somehow are not in the context of a contact with the family, I mean, normally you'd be communicating with the family, but if for some reason they weren't in the context of a communication with the family, you can do that straight from this household report page 2. And then I just wanted to go back to the contact history, the things that are like easily accessible to you that you can, just read right here are these notes fields. So in the contact form at the bottom, there's that contact notes. And then within each activity at the bottom, there's that general activity notes. And so you can use those to put in any information that you want to be easily available to you because it shows up right in the contact history on the household report. So that's kind of that's something just to keep in mind. If you want to write something down that you want to like be easy to get back to, either using the contact notes field or one of those general activity notes boxes can be a good way. And then you can use that pin feature to put the things you really want to remember. You just pin them, and then they'll be kept under that pin notes section.
Yep. Thank you, Danny. Okay, so, oops. Let's go back to Nikki. So yeah, also housed in this household report is the household information form. So clicking on the household information form button, just a few kind of overarching notes or overarching points about this. So all fields in the household information form are optional and can be completed when desired. I'll kind of talk a bit about when each field would normally be completed. Fields that are highlighted in gray cannot be edited. So they're either pulled from the enrollment tool. So like household legal name, that's pulled from the enrollment tool. That can't be edited. The enrollment date, pulled from the enrollment tool. PHA, day since enrollment. And then the study ID and PHA client ID. The study ID is a tool generated number. It goes on like the family's consent forms, and it's just a way of tracking, way for us to individually identify families without using PII, personally identifiable information. So if you want to contact the study team, like about a certain family, say, I'm having an issue with, family 142, then we know, okay, we can go in on the back end and say, okay, we know this is Nikki, and you can communicate that without using PII. The PHA client ID is the PHA household ID. So that's what those fields are. So any field that's not in gray can be edited. So preferred name, again, I talked about program status, next steps, that can be used as just a catch-all. Anything, big next steps you want to do or notes about the family. You can put assign PHA caseworker. So if you have, at Metro HRA or Minneapolis PHA, the person that you would contact who's associated with the family, recertification due date, etc. So that's this summary information. Under contact information, it'll show the address and enrollment, current.
And I wanted to point out, if you can pull down that household information section. So what's different about the household information form than the owner information form and the unit information form? You saw the owner information form, that's when you add a new owner, and you saw the unit information form, that's when you add a new unit. Those are one screens. And this household information form is so long, it has several screens. So you can see what the screens are: the summary, the contact, the head of household, the member, the income and voucher, RIFTA, and post-move tracking. So the household information form has these, it's multi-parts to it. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, there's more to it. And all the fields are listed out in the user guide reference, but you can click around and see all the fields here. So contact information, current address. So, you can put in their current address, preferred communication method, etc. Emergency contact, all things that could be helpful. Head of household information, pretty basic. And going into the member information, this will be pulled from the enrollment tool at first. So like there's one other member of the household, it's a child, you can edit the information to, note their age, their original school, daycare, if they moved, new school or daycare, and any notes you have. Just you can keep a running list of notes so you can remember about different family members, and you can add other family members by using this add member button. Income and voucher information section. So you can write in their AGI, the voucher issuance date, expiration, the voucher size, and notes about neighborhoods of interest, if you want to note that here. RIFTA tracking. So RIFTA is a activity on the owner side, but in order to just consolidate the information, we added this RIFTA information to the household information form, so you can add a new RIFTA when it's completed. The address for the unit, this will be like drop down for all the units. Again, like the security deposit, inspection, you can do that whole thing again. But the difference is for this is once you can put a lease update, a move-in date, and once you click save, it'll be here under the household's information, and they're just easily accessible to you. So it's possible that in subsequent moves you'll be adding multiple RIFTAs for the same household, or if the first RIFTA is not approved, you can add another one for a different unit. So you're able to add multiple RIFTAs here. So that's that section. And the final section of the household information form is this post-move tracking section. So a lot of it is filled out once phase 5 and 6 occurs. So we can see the search outcome, which was pulled from the search outcome activity that Nikki moved to an opportunity area. We can see the address where the household moved to, post-move check-in date, which is calculated just 30 days after the move. Owner check-in date also 30 days after the move. And then you can note whether you conducted that and any additional services or notes that you have there. So you can get back to the household report by clicking on the head of household name. Any questions on the household information form sections or the household report? There's a lot of information. Okay. I did want to talk about one more thing, which is this household status. So if you remember from the household dashboard, there's the status column. So by default, a family will be in active services. So they're, currently getting services from the program. This is like from phase 2 through 6 usually, or 2 through, whenever they're actively getting services. So once they complete their search, they'll be switched to completed services, or let's say they don't move to an opportunity area, then they'll also be in phase 7 and the status will be completed services. So that's just a way to kind of quickly organize families by whether they're like actively receiving services or not. And it might be the case that, in different phases, maybe phase 4, the unit referral phase, or in phase 6, the post move, that households kind of just lose contact with you with the coach or leasing coordinator. So you're able to go into the household information form, and if a household is not returning your attempted outreach or text calls, etc., you can change their status to inactive to indicate that they're not actively receiving services. They're kind of inactive. So there are some things that the CMRS wants you to do before marking a household as inactive. So it'll ask, have you made at least three attempts to contact the client via 2 or more information methods? For clients who have entered phase 6 but failed to complete their 1 month post-move check-in, have you mailed a letter attempting to schedule that check-in? And then have you sent an email informing they are no longer active in the program, but that they may re-engage at any time? So those are just some checks to make sure you exhaust those options before setting that status to inactive. Because once you do that, oops, I'll have to click save. Once you do that, you go back to the dashboard. You can see that Nikki's status is inactive. But if Nikki re-engages with the program, we can change it to active or services complete, depending on what's relevant. So just wanted to mention that. Okay, so I think I'll go to the property owner report now. So to get to the property owner report, you navigate to the property owners tab and click on the property owner whose report you want to see. So let's go to Nicolette. First one is, so basic owner info is here. If you edit the property owner, you get to that property owner information form. Like Danny was saying, this is that same form you use to add a property owner is the form you use to edit the information. So that's a little more straightforward and streamlined there. So anything you edit and add to it will show up in this owner info section. List of associated units, self-explanatory. Any units that are tagged to that property owner will show up there. So we were talking about the example, if it's a big property management company, you might want to have like the owner be the property management company and have a bunch of units listed under that. Pin notes work the same way. So under contact history with the property owners, you can see the activity that was done and any of the notes. So like the topics discussed, and those types of things. So that's what shows up in the contact history.
And I was thinking for those large developments or large buildings, one thing you can do is you could just add the address of the large building and and call it unavailable, but you just want it to show up here, that big building is under this owner, and you call it unavailable. And then whenever there's an available unit in that building, then you can add that unit separately and say that it's available. But that's a way to get some, the large developments listed here, and so you can see what they are. And then you only when like particular units within them are available, then you'd add those two, and you'd use the unit number because they're actually available now, and you might refer a family to that unit. You could do it that way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Disbursement history. If they made any disbursements, I think we didn't do it for Nicolette, but we did for, I think, 4123 York. Yeah, we have the security deposit damage mitigation fund. So that's there. And then unit history shows all of the activity, but it's categorized by unit instead of by the household. So we can see like under 4123 York, it was inspected for Selena. There's a RIFTA for Steve Martin, inspected for Steve Martin. So this could be over time, right? Like 1 year, someone in the program rents this, and then the next year, someone else rents it. So you could have the same activities being done for the same unit for different households. So it just organizes it by the unit instead of by the household. So that's what the unit history is. Yeah, and then we can schedule and begin contact now, also from the property owner report. So that's a property owner report. Any questions about that before I move to the unit? Okay, awesome. The unit report works similarly. You get to it from the unit availability tab, the dashboard, click on the unit, and you can see the unit info, see it's available. If you want to edit any of the unit info, you can do so by clicking the edit button, and the information you put here will show up in this unit info section. So that's all there. Disbursement history, it will say, this is now by unit, so we can see that the security deposit was made to this unit and was paid on behalf, for Steve Martin. And the list of households referred. So it shows you all the households that have been referred to that unit. So that's all there is for the unit report. Again, yeah, reminder that this owner outreach tab exists and kind of operates separately from owner contacts. You just can create owner events, group owner outreach events or advisory group meetings using these buttons, and it'll just all show up in this table. So those aren't associated with any one particular owner. Okay, so that's basically showed all of the functionality of the tool. I wanted to mention that there are a few notifications built into the tool. So the tool contains functionality to send contact reminders to the head of household the evening before each scheduled contact. So if I were to schedule a contact with Steve Martin and make it, Monday, Steve Martin would get a email and or cell phone reminder that the contact is upcoming the evening before, so on that Sunday. So it sends it to the head of household, reminding the family that they have a contact upcoming. And again, the reminder for you all, for mobility services staff, is this scheduled contacts table. So that's where you can see all of your upcoming contacts. And then there are also weekly reminders to update the list of available units whose availability has not been confirmed in the last 7 days, because we want to make sure that you're checking in on units that are available to see whether they're still available. So this unit hasn't been updated since July 14th, if I go and search and see that it's not available anymore, I'm gonna confirm it that it's not available, and you can see that updated. And if later I find that it is available, can change the availability. So those are the two notifications for the tool. And with that, I've finished the live demonstration. Are there any other questions about the tool before I go back to some final slides? Yes, Gabby.
Sorry, lots of questions. I was
No
just
problem.
curious, you mentioned that when you schedule a family contact, they're notified. So if you do a property owner, say you're just like reminding yourself, hey, I should contact this owner Monday, so they still get a notification about it?
No, the property owners won't get notifications.
Okay,
So it's
just
just for
families.
families. Yeah. So if you wanted to schedule a contact to remind yourself, to contact this owner, you can do that, and then it'll show up on this upcoming,
Okay.
but they won't get any notification. Any other questions?
So for the family notification, they get an email or a text or both? What's that
Yeah,
notification like?
I can show you. I think if they have both an email and a cell phone, yeah, if they have both an email and a cell phone in the system, then they'll get it to both. If they only have one or the other, they'll get it to that method. But if they have both, they'll get it to both. It's just one time the evening before. So hopefully that will be helpful. If we find that people are getting annoyed by that for some reason, we can change it, but that's what the default is right now. Let's see if I can find an example. So here's the weekly reminder to contact. No, let's see. Trying to find the upcoming contact. Yeah, I mean, it basically looks like, not finding it right now. Oh, I know. There's one in the guide. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. So this is what it looks like. So on the left is the email. Oops. And on the right is the text. So it's just simple. This is a reminder. You have a contact scheduled with your service provider via phone. Same thing, but just text. And then this is the reminder to mobility services staff about, it just lists units whose availability has not been confirmed in the last 7 days. So you can click on the button and go into the tool and check on those units. So those are the two. Cool. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, but feel free to jump in. I'm going to go and talk a bit about data security, which is very important because, yeah, this tool has PII. It has personally identifiable information and sensitive data about the family. So as a reminder, any data or combination of data that can be used to identify a person or household, for example, social security number, date of birth, name, address, is PII. So providers, you all should operate within your organization's guidelines for the sharing of PII. So if sharing family names would be acceptable in the course of normal business interactions, that is fine for delivery of services. So, if you're emailing people including family names and addresses, and that's acceptable, that's fine. However, for our study protocols, you should never share any PII directly with the study team via email or like voicemail. So even names, even family names, we do not want to have any PII shared with us. So that's why I showed the way to get to the study ID through the household information form. If for some reason you need to reference a family, you can use that study ID. So other study protocols to keep data secure, the enrollment and service tools are hosted on a secure cloud-based website that require login and password from authorized staff only. So we just want authorized staff to be able to access the tools. Some do's and don'ts about data security. Again, do refer to study participants by their unique study ID number or PHI ID number when corresponding via email or voicemail, and don't refer to them by their names, dates of birth, or any other PII in communication with the study team. We ask that you do minimize printing out paper copies of participant records that contain PII, or if you do, lock up those printouts and shred when you're finished. Don't just throw data printouts in the trash or recycle bin without shredding them first. And don't retain extra copies of data just in case. Do choose passwords for the tool that are difficult to guess and keep them confidential. Don't share your passwords or write it down and keep it next to your computer. It's basic data security guidelines. And then we ask that you use your official work email account for communication and for accessing the tool. So we ask that you do not use personal Gmail, Yahoo, whatever account for work or communications with the study team. So the exception being it's okay to use a personal cell phone just for that two-factor authentication to log into the tool. Okay, any questions on that? Data security incidents. So I mentioned earlier, providers can operate within their own organization's guidelines for sharing family names among yourselves, but a data security incident does occur when any unauthorized personnel have viewed study data. If study data is stored or transmitted in an unsecure environment, or if PII is shared with the study team via email or voicemail. So if that does occur, we will ask you to, or you should report that incident to the app team and your supervisor via email. So these are the two contacts who you should contact, Laura and Debbie, and we'll file that. And so when reporting the data security incident, just say, what information was shared, or like what kind of information was shared. Of course, don't share any PII when reporting the data security incident. Okay. So now I want to move on to talk about all the resources available to you to use the service tool. So there's the service tool user guide, which I referenced and quickly pulled up. And that there's also 2 quick reference guides that are just shorter, more concise guides to help you understand, what to do in the tool to accomplish your specific role. So there's a guide for coaches who are, mostly working with families. There's a guide for leasing coordinators who work with owners. And yeah, those will be made available. They have some nice summary tables. There's going to be training videos. In addition to the recording of this training, I've made some YouTube videos that do live demos of each feature of the tool, so that can be used for reference. We'll be scheduling site-specific follow-up training the week of August 8th, so you'll have some time to ask questions and do a little bit more demo there. And then we'll have ongoing office hours and frequently asked questions documents just to help answer questions that come up. And finally, there's the CCD study help desk, which is both an email and a phone number that can be used for a number of different purposes, which I'll talk about. So yeah, the user guide, it's quite long. It has a lot of screenshots of the tool. It's a great reference. It's not really something to read through in one sitting, but really to be used to answer questions about what's included in the tool, how to use its features, functions, and just an easy way to reference specific parts of the tool you want to learn more about. While the quick reference guides are much shorter, that summarize in a briefer format without those screenshots and are more role specific. Here are some screenshots of the user guide, table of contents, and you can see that there are screenshots of the tool itself, as well as just tool tips. So that's kind of what the user guide looks like. Service tool training videos, like I mentioned, it's a series of videos on YouTube. So there's a video on the kind of an overview of the tool on the dashboard, family contacts, phases 2 and 3, etc. There are 10 videos in total. So starting the week of August 8th, the team will be holding office hour sessions twice a week to answer questions from both enrollment and mobility services staff about the use of both tools. So 30 minutes of each session will be dedicated to the service tool. So we encourage you to come to those sessions and ask questions. And based on questions raised today and in those office hours, we'll create a continuously updated service tool FAQ, as well as we could update the service tool user guide to reflect new questions or new features that may roll out. So tool troubleshooting, should the service tool stop working for any reason, or if you have any questions about using the service tool, you may contact the CCD study help desk by email or phone. Here's the email and the toll-free phone number. This is also in each of the user guides. And in situations where your call is not answered live, the help desk will respond as soon as possible for urgent matters and within 1 business day for non-urgent matters. And just kind of to help you think about when to contact the help desk or go some other method. If you think something in the tool is broken or not working as it should, that is an urgent issue. You should contact the help desk immediately. You know, if some data is not showing up for some reason, or button's not working, contact the help desk by email or phone, and we'll get back to you ASAP. If you have a non-urgent question about using the tool, like more of a process or how-to question, then we ask that you consult the user guide and reference guides first. Maybe look at training videos or FAQs, and if you still can't find the answer to your question, then you can attend office hours or contact the help desk, and we'll answer your question. And finally, if you have a comment or suggestion to improve the tool, we're very interested in hearing in those as well. So you can email the comment to the help desk or attend office hours to discuss your suggestion or comment. And more on tool improvement and feedback. Again, we very much welcome your feedback and input. This tool is going to be updated. The pilot period is a time that you all will, test how the tool works for you and give us feedback that will be useful in making the tool better. So you can share those suggestions with the study help desk. You can also share suggestions with your site liaisons during check-in calls, and the study team will be providing additional opportunities for feedback through listening sessions during the pilot period. Right. Okay, here's some the start of a frequently asked questions document. We can share these slides as well. I think I talked about when you should record a contact in the tool using the contact form. Again, it's when a family or owner sends you a message or you are in direct contact with a family or owner. Is there a way to track unit tours? I went over this quickly, but there is a way to track tours in the unit referrals, tours, and applications activity in phase 4. So once you refer a unit to a family, you can note whether they have toured the unit. And this already came up during our conversation. Does the tool have a feature to upload client documents or site letters and forms? Unfortunately, no, not at this time, but potentially in the future, the tool will be able to have that ability. Okay, so I'll pause again. Does anyone have any questions that have come up? Okay. So next steps. You all should have received an email from the tool to create your account. If you haven't received that email or are having trouble, please reach out to me. You have my contact information from this meeting invite. It's also on the last slide. And you will be receiving an email from my colleague Isabel with time options to schedule the follow-up Q&A session, which Danny will lead the week of August 8th. So we'll be scheduling 2-hour time blocks to allow for ample time for Q&A and additional demonstration. And between now and then, we recommend that you read over the service tool user guide, read over the quick reference guides, and practice using the tool. And we created a one-page kind of training checklist to help you, make sure that you test every feature of the tool or practice using every feature of the tool. So it looks something like this, set up your password, log on, add a property owner, add a unit, schedule contact, etc. So we'll send that. That's a good, easy way to both track what tasks you've practiced and whether you have any questions about specific tasks. So you can write down those questions in the Word document and then bring them to that follow-up training session to ask. And then finally, there are going to be office hours. Yeah.
I was just going to say the training checklist really goes along with the user's guide. I mean, anything you see on this checklist, add property owner. How do I do that again? You can just go to the user guide and it'll tell you exactly. So you can kind of walk through the user guide and do it yourself, and it goes right along with this. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll show you what that looks like. And then the final, recommended next steps is to attend office hours as needed throughout the pilot when they'll start that same week of August 8th. So this is the practice checklist that we were referencing, and it follows the guide pretty closely. So move household to another phase, complete a referral to address barriers activity, etc. So that's what that looks like. You can check these off and write any questions you want. Okay. That is all of the content we 5 minutes to spare. So this is Danny and I's contact information, and I'll pause one last time for questions before we conclude. All right. Well, you have our contact information. We'll send the follow-up materials. Be on the lookout for that follow-up training scheduling email. And thank you very much for your time and attention. That was a ton of information, and just know that it will take a little bit of time to get a handle on the tool, but I think once you do get a handle on it, we hope that you will find it user-friendly and will allow you to do your job and make it easier on the evaluation. So thank you very much.